everyone, it's Maddie.
I'm V, and today we're going to be doing our YALC book haul.
We got 26 books and we've split them into 3 different categories.
The first is books that we bought, the second is books that we won, and the third is books we traded on the book swap. So straight away we picked up Only Love Can Break Your Heart by Catherine Webber because she was signing on the Friday, and Are We All Lemmings and Snowflakes by Holly Bourne. We knew we were meeting Holly because of her collaboration in the Flawed novel, so we needed to get this too. Luckily we had just filled up our stamp card where if you get 10 stamps you get £10 off, so we got both of these for £6. One of our favourite stores at YALC was one that had a lot of US paperbacks. Some of these were ARCs and then some of these were new releases, and they had a deal of if you bought a new release then you'd get a free galley copy. We really wanted Undead Girl Gang by Lily Anderson because we've seen a lot of buzz on US booktube, and this was a galley, so we picked up The Last Summer of the Garrett Girls by Jessica Spotswood, which is all about 4 sisters, and we loved her Born Wicked series and I hadn't heard anything about her coming out with a new book, so when we saw this one it was just the perfect match to get this. Also from that table we bought The Strange Fascinations of Noah Hypnotic by David Arnold, and I wanted this purely because it's David Arnold and I have enjoyed his other 2 books. So originally this was on the have to buy to get a galley side, but by Sunday they had run out of a lot of stock, so this got moved over to the free side. So to get it we bought Scarlett Epstein Hates It Here. I really love the fonts on the spine even though the cover is kind of dodgy. I remember seeing this a lot maybe last year on Goodreads mostly, and it came up on NetGalley but it was only for US readers. So it was really exciting that this table was even there because it meant there were so many books that we wouldn't be able to get at this price in the UK.
Then on the My Kind of Book table you could buy paperbacks for a £5, and there were 2 books that we wanted, so we went with Wild Blue Wonder by Carly Sorosiak, which is her 2nd book, and even though we haven't read the first, this takes place at a summer camp, so we knew we had to have it.
And the next is If You Have Nothing Nice to Say by Leela Sales. Again, I love Leela Sales' other 2 books. This is another story of where a girl posts something online, it gets taken out of context and she's vilified. And the final book I bought was Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dow. Again, this was on that cheap table, so it was only £2.50. I read a sampler of this after YALC last year, and it turns out to be the only book from that Try a Chapter video that I haven't read the year on, so I was really excited to get it because I adored the first chapter, so it's definitely at the top of my list when it comes to fantasy. Next are the books that we found on the book swap, and we were unbelievably lucky with this year because after last year, obviously we knew it was going to happen, and we have a whole bunch of books that we wanted to unhaul, so we made sure to take about 6 of them that we could trade for something that we genuinely wanted.
So on the very first day we found Little Liar by Julia Gray, and this was actually being sold at the Anderson Press table, so we were really happy to find it. B has read her debut, which was The Other Life, but I'm really interested in this one because it has more thriller vibes and that's one of our favourite genres, so we'll definitely be getting to this one soon.
And another equally bright cover is Eat Dirt by Goldie Moldavsky. I read Kill the Boy Band last year or the year before and I really enjoyed it, and she's got quite a satirical writing style, and it's all about a group of teens that go to an environmentally friendly camp that's for campaigns to save the universe, and in their endeavours to do something good they end up doing something bad. And camp set books were definitely a theme of this year's YALC haul, so we have plenty to choose from now.
These are the books that we were probably most excited about because obviously we didn't pay a penny for them and they're in perfect condition.
The next book we got from the book swap was Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. Coming home I felt a little bit nervous about this one because I know I wanted to read it because I've heard incredible things about the fantasy setting, but Jay Kristoff has also had some iffy things said about him recently, so I don't know whether I want to support him as an author, which is why getting it on a book swap I suppose was the best thing because I didn't want to pay for it. So I'll probably try the first 50 pages and then if I don't get on with it then I might give this to a friend.
On Saturday I picked up It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. I am really stoked about this book because I loved the film when we saw it a couple of years ago, although it did take us ages to watch it because we kept being interrupted. This is all about a boy called Craig who ends up going to a rehab centre for lots of different mental illnesses, and he meets a whole ensemble cast of characters that help him get better.
Next is Two Summers by Amy Friedman, and I was geeking out when I saw this on the bookstand because I have honestly been looking for it in the Amazon marketplace for the last like 2 or 3 years. It was one of the first books that Goodreads recommended to me, and I knew I was going to like it because I am a sucker for the split worlds, 2 lives combined thing a la Pivot Point by Casey West, which is one of my favourite books ever. Obviously, 1, she goes to Paris and then I think on the other she stays at home somewhere in the States. I'm just really excited to read it. I know it's probably going to be trashy, but I am fully giving in to wanting to love it. And then on the very last day, Bea picked up the whole Jacobi series by William Ritter, and these were bound up together, and there was a little note on it saying to take them as one. So we got a whole series in exchange for one book, which definitely feels like we cheated the system. So obviously Jacobi is the first book, Beastly Bones is the sequel, Ghostly Echoes is the third, and finally we have The Dire King, and this was written in 2017, so I don't know if it's a completed series or still ongoing. That's something we definitely need to research, but to have 4 books of the series is really amazing, and apparently it's comparable to Murder Most Unladylike, and that's why Bea picked it up for us. So I'm super excited to dive into this series, and it also has a lot of Sherlock vibes, as Jacobi is the Sherlock character, and then Abigail is his Watson, and I'm really excited to see another female perspective telling the story. And finally, moving on to the books that we won. The proof giveaways were slightly different this year, and they were done through raffles or lucky dips, and we definitely had more luck on the lucky dips than the raffles. The first one we won was That's Not What Happened by Cody Keplinger, and this is a story about a school shooting and the aftermath of that. So this just seemed like a really nice, exciting start to the YALC experience. Bookmark was running their proofs very similarly to last year, where you just had to queue up, and the first 50 people that were in the queue got the book if they answered a question. To win this book, you had to say who your favourite star-crossed lovers were, as this is based on the Isolde and Tristan myth. This is one I was really excited for because I love myths, and I really like the romance element of this, as it's an interracial relationship. Although I've seen films of this myth, I've never seen a book version of it, and it sounds really original, so I'm super excited to get to it. And then Bookmark's Sunday proof was Devoted by Jennifer Matthew, which was one of our most anticipated proof drops of the whole YALC weekend. We love the 2 books that we've read by Jennifer Matthew, and we think that Devoted might be another one that was published in the US a few years ago, but it's only just coming to the UK, but we might be wrong. It's about Rachel, whose life is heavily controlled by her parents and how she's trying to break free of that. It's another feminist coming-of-age story, so I assume if we loved Moxie, then we'll love this too. Next we have Rosie Loves Jack by Mel Darbin. This was a debut at the Usborne table, and we won it in a Twitter contest. This is the story of Rosie, who has Down syndrome, and she meets a boy called Jack on a train journey, and then they fall in love so quickly that she really wants to be with him, but she has to go back home, and so she decides to run away and be with him if she can. This sounds like a really special story, so hopefully it's one that both me and Bea can read pretty soon. Next we have The Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand, and this was being given away by HarperCollins. Again, they had a limited number of proofs that they were dropping at 11 AM. This is a story of a bunch of girls who go missing, and then a new set of girls that try and investigate this mystery. It seems like it's going to have threads of magical realism based on the cover. We thought it was going to be a thriller, but it might be a bit more fantasy based. Then we have You Only Live Once by Jess Vallance, and this was another that we were really anticipating because it's advertised as for fans of Geek Girl, and that is one of our favourite series, so hopefully this can shine a light to it. It's all about a girl called Gracie who, like Harriet Manners, is a meticulous planner, and then she thinks that she has a terminal illness and decides to live out all of her dreams to a timetable. This is also one where the sequel is being pumped out quite quickly, so this comes out at the end of August, and then the next book will be out the following February. Hopefully it'll join the ranks of other comedy YA that we've loved. And finally we have Easy Prey by Catherine Lowe, and this is the story of a geek, a rebel and a jock who all have their own reasons for leaking inappropriate photos of one of their teachers. This is only 300 pages, and because it's split between 3 perspectives, I imagine that it's going to be super quick to read. I really enjoy this sort of whodunit story, so even though we weren't hyped for it before, we certainly are now. Those are all the books we have to haul from YALC 2018. Our next video will be our YALC experience, where we give you a wrap up of everything besides the books that we got, and also has some vlog footage in there too. Thank you everyone for watching. We make bookish and writing videos every week. We're active on social media on Twitter and Instagram at Maddie and Bea, and those links are always in the description. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.